Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Lady and gentlemen. It's always good to have a nice mix in the house. Anyways, alright, welcome to the final edition of the Austin Salon Poetic for National Poetry Month. That's what y'all can say forever, right? No. We don't believe in those terms here. Yes.
Neither nation nor month.
Sorry?
Neither nation nor month.
Oh, I know, right? So, that's it. As far as April is concerned, we only got a few more days.
Yeah, use it up, babe.
Yeah, to do all your poetry, musings and writings. Not that you'd ever stop anyways, but as far as the celebration of it goes, for Poetry Month, at least in the Western world. That's it. All right, cool. So I think we had a pretty good National Poetry Month this month. Yeah. Very eventful, full of a lot of activities, and of course all the shenanigans that we do here at the Austin Salon Poetic. We have two features tonight, count them two. One is already in the house. We'll be having a Doppelganger Ben and Stephanie Jane Morrissey. Woo! So that's something to look forward to. But we'll be doing our open mic as usual to begin with, and we will be getting started with that at this time. Awesome. Okay, so we already have quite a list working up for tonight. Without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. Special reader coming to visit us, though momentarily. Let's have a round of applause for Vasilina.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much, Thom, and thank you for your, I don't know how to express it even,
Poetry.
I would say that in Austin I found people who are so devoted to poetry that I never ever encountered in Moscow, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, despite that they are two devoted readers and writers. I would read just two poems as a tribute to my friends, from my open heart. One of them is called Blessed. This is my new book, by the way. This is my only book in English so far.
Yeah,
I brought it to present to my friend Thom. Blessed. An envoy of the North is in civilian dress. Incognito and recognized by no one, he drives into the city, wheel steering space. He inquires where the shortcut is through this rustic town with an urban heart, and a peasant with some pheasants acknowledges him a compatriot. This pleasant country is damned full of strangers. But looking at the smoke of the speeding car, he suddenly remembers where he heard the accent. The horizon is a sea of flame.
Whoa.
And the second poem, which is called American Road. And this is American Road number 1, since this book contains two poems, two different texts named American Road. The smoothness of American roads is entertaining and nostalgic. It evokes the images of soul wagon and cowboys, cinematically replicated in an endless succession of billboards, road signs, fast food eateries, filling stations, churches and ranches, channels and cactuses. When you glide down this road, wide, with as many lanes as are needed for a particular location, marked with white and yellow lines, you spot a dead armadillo or something else, sometimes a deer, a skinless former creature, a flick of the color and texture of fresh meat in a supermarket, or else you see an aluminum mailbox with a knob lever, with numbers, with worn-out stripes and stars painted. The landscape exists in so much as the road exists. Its constant unrolling presence is a sequence of rapidly changing scenery, but there is a primal continuity, the road itself. It mesmerizes a driver like a kaleidoscope in which she sees her birth, life, and death. As if in a gondola you slide by its mirror-like surface in a car, switching places, but not even for a moment leaving the ultimate territory of your loving solitude. You should tape it all, along with the music playing, to be able to recreate it in all its minute but important features in some other place, about as stable and devoid of movement as is possible for places, maybe under the earth. It looks like a video game created by an almighty computer with the infernal ability to render landscapes and vistas in millions of precise and multifaceted details. And this is the embodied utopia of a state presenting itself in an unending landscape. When I cross the inevitability of it, it'll be just for fun.
Thank you, Vasilina. We appreciate that greatly. Those are very lovely poems. Can't wait to get a copy of the book. Anyways, okay. All right, that was wonderful. Great way to start off the reading tonight. Next up, we have to the mic, the one and the only, Headhunter Thom.
Oh, yes.
And everyone in the room, if you're up for it. So for 10 years, we've gone to West Texas, gone up the highway, hit the roadkill, gone to a park, planted trees, watched them die, in the wind, the wildness of West Texas. On the drive-in, which is one of the last remaining drive-ins, which will die in the next year because everything, including everyone we know, is turning digital. We are not digital, we are analog. We're not even retro, but we're the future. So there we are with the accelerated consciousness, and I warned my friends about San Angelo because the cautionary story of Jeff Calloway, who was only a passenger. What happened, he gets pulled over by the force and they say, "What's your name?" He says, "Mickey Mouse." Now apparently the police at San Angelo have no sense of humor because they immediately thought, "Your name's Daffy Duck, son." And they found a few warrants on him for trespassing in someone else's paddock after midnight in the moon looking for mushrooms, magic mushrooms. And so 2 years later he comes out of jail, tattoos and a nervous disposition. That's not going to stop us. I said to my friends in the Poets Convoy, just make sure you're not speeding through San Angelo. What do? I speed through San Angelo. But 3, count them 1, 2, 3. 3 of them are pulled over. Each of them somehow, they can tell there's something different about these cars. And they ask the same question of everyone. What's your purpose and destination? I'm going to a poetry festival called Forest Fest. And where is this festival? La Mesa, West Texas. Here's a warning. And then released. Every wild bird knows the feeling, tested to the core. When they ask you what's your purpose of adventure, and you tell the truth for sure, they can't hold you down anymore. So they came, and in the park, we gathered. Inside that park, a tree was planted. Now the water of La Mesa is actually a sewage pond going past, and that's how the trees have survived. And for the last 10 years, 7 out of 10 still stand there. It's a wonderful dream. But inside, La Mesa itself, the only poetry festival in the whole of West Texas, they're the poets coming to the town to levitate. We did poetry in the rest homes, the Sage, Beehive 1, not Beehive 2 this year because they had a party going on. Normally, Steve Brooks stands on top of the projection booth at Skyview Drive-In. They were screening Rio 2 and Captain America, but this year we didn't go to the drive-in. Normally, there is such a word. We do things that are completely absurd, like go to Pizza Hut and do poetry for pizza. Didn't do that this year. But what we did do was this. Re-establish the fact that poetry is a legal enterprise in 2014, and that has significance and resonates within a community. Normally we have hundreds of children crawling around Bob Mudd's feet, making mud stashes, and playing in mud and making mud art. We didn't do that this year. But we did have a stall in the middle of the Chicken Fried Steak Festival, and on that stall inside there, stall number 30, we had continuous poetry from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the evening. And it confused the hell out of the merchandisers, all hawking their wares like a sideshow carnival, because we weren't selling anything. We were just giving it all away. Ben Franklin there took off his divested vestments and dressed people up like freedom of speech, like Captain America, like a Bill of Rights, so they could be reminded of what America's best values are. Pete Siebert, he dressed up with his storytelling pole and he told stories. And I just did poems. Because what can a poor man do in a West Texas town when all you have is people going up and down looking for something to buy to fill the emptiness in their eyes? We tried what they had. We went to the Chicken Fried Steak Festival. We bought the chicken fried steak and it was terrible. It tasted like the dust of West Texas. Gravy on dust. Different was one word. Terrible is another. We saw the hot air balloons and we became the hot air balloons. They were rising in the morning, but later on they couldn't. It was too hot for all of them. And magical things happened, of course. Bob had mud arms, going around with skeleton arms of mud paints. And he did a face in the tree, one of the few surviving trees. Happily, the council of La Mesa started reforesting the park, and they put in saplings there. But the heat and the dust and the wind and the sky and the pressure meant that every now and then a wild wind would come through and fly a tent up through the sky. And that was part of the poetry. And we gathered. None of us slept for the last 3 days. He hasn't slept for 4 days. Trying to fix her computer. Imagine putting on a poetry festival without a functioning computer, without a functioning phone. When all the people who say they're going to be there don't turn up, and only the odd strangers like us do. And the festival was gorgeous and beautiful. And the tree was planted. And they didn't understand us because they spoke alcohol and they spoke weed, and we said, we speak poetry, we speak music. And we listen as well. Our Forest Fest is named after the Forest Park. It was Connie Williams, poet, who spins her dervish dance in West Texas, and she has a book called Dancing Backwards in Texas, which is based on the famous story of Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. Because Ginger Rogers did everything that Fred Astaire did, except backwards and in high heels. Think about that. Power of pioneer women. She had her children and her grandchildren, and they stepped up and they cried and they spoke and they sighed and they sang their poems and dreams in the microphone. Now I'm not going to say it died that day because it was born again. It should never have happened. It was a miraculous thing. These things can happen when you start to dream. We were dreaming. We had dust in our skin. We had the wind in our hair. We had the heat of the day. But we were there. We were pink-skinned and sunburnt by the time the light had gone. We were happy as Larry, levitating in song. We realized then how much there is a hunger for poem, harmony, inside everyone as they walk past, nervous of course because we are different. But they smiled and they laughed. And Ben put his tricolour hat on and said, try this. And they got photo opportunities with Ben Franklin. And we said, that's worth $100. We'll give it to you for free. And everyone got a little taste of sweet liberty. And the mud on the tree and the mud on the arms, the poems in their minds. And Ben Franklin costume right there, front line, in front of the petting zoo. I said, look, some of my friends got PTSD. What can you do for me? What's for free? So he handed me a book about federal benefits, a CD about Vietnam PTSD, which I passed on to my friend with Vietnam PTSD, and stickers and magnetic things. Now he didn't realize how absurd this is, because those who have put their life on the line so that we didn't have to need more than bits of stickers to say that we care for them. But that was the best he could do, so I accepted it, until my eyes spotted a strange thing on the table. And I said, what else you got? He said, not much more that I can give you for sure. I said, what's that? He said, that's a trigger lock. I said, I'll take it. Now I went back to my friend Dusty. I said, Dusty, what's a trigger lock? And he said, oh, that's for guns, Thom. I said, you got a gun, Dusty? Yeah. Here, take it quick. So he's got a trigger lock in West Texas in a plastic bag, because he's got a gun in West Texas, and he's got the story about how a poet handed him something that would stop a weapon from killing someone. To me, life is a poem that we divide up every day and every night. To me, it's the roadkill on the highway. It's getting through San Angelo without getting pulled over by the cops. To me, life is like Zorba the Greek. You undo your belt and go out and look for trouble, gentle. And we went to La Mesa, and it was good. Forest Fest, amongst the Chicken Fried Steak Festival, amongst the Balloon Rally, amongst the National Guard, amongst all the people with cowboy hats, and they really meant it. The wind and the dust, and people there praying for rain, praying for rain. So we rained down inspiration. We passed out our hearts, and that just happened last weekend. Life is art.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing that with us. That was wonderful. All right, next up we have coming to the mic, Gentle. Let's have a round of applause for Gentle.
I just have three short quickies for tonight. First one is called The Point. When the clouds become cartoon and your pains have become numb, it's at this time in which you'll find your savior. This is called Acceptance. You know, I hate your stance on religion. How you feel about gay people. Your stance on abortion makes me nauseous. And I'll never understand how you can like George W. Bush. Anyway,
Yeah.
wanna go get some tacos? Sure. I could drink a beer or two. There. And one more. This is the last. This is called The Unknown Comedian. Sodom stood in the middle of the intersection, holding up a sign that said, "I buy asses for cash." Depressed he was. For hours later, he gave up, dropped his sign, walked away. having not found one interested customer. Little did Sodom know the joy and laughter he gave freely to each set of eyes that read his sign. Truly, the undiscovered comedian never gets their due.
Yeah, so good. Oh, yeah, so good.
Thank you, Gentle. Much appreciated. All right. Doing pretty good so far for all of you who just came in. We do have at least one of two features here with us tonight. We'll be doing our poetry open mic. If y'all should choose to decide to want to share anything with us, please do let me know and we can get you on the stage.
Yeah.
Probably be doing another quick round after the feature.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been looking at you, Susan. Excellent. Okay, I'm next up to bat.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. All right. That man's a P-O-E-T. P-O-E-T.
Pot.
P-O-E-T.
Oh, poet. Sorry.
Get your hair out of the gun!
Get my head out of the clouds. It's probably because it's
Got
been
her
so
clouds,
long.
yeah.
Oh, it doesn't
Whichever
matter.
end.
Noun form of PS. Okay.
You have a hard time reading my plate.
All right. Okay. So, how about this one? It's called "In for the Kill." Ambient radiance, the pathway I walk. Perhaps you have been down this path too. The smell is sweet and musty, almost sticky like overripe fruit. It is distant like a sun in eclipse. It is a memory, a dream on the edge of forgotten. It is too surreal for this world that no longer believes in fantasy or emotion. That is more into quick quips and wit. The path that unfolds lay itself down like quicksand and hardens like ice to black concrete, asphalt that heats, melts the snow and the hearts of the last daydreamers. Do you know who they are? They have slowly left this plane. They have left this energy behind. They want no part of this anymore. They have helped all they can, and we are left behind to discover what this great plan will be as the sun sets one last time on this sad and ungrateful world.
Oh, true.
Not all hope is lost there. No, don't cry, Tom. I didn't mean to make you cry. Your yellow makes me very happy.
Makes me happy.
Okay, this one is called Michael Slaying Lucifer. It's about,
Oh, yes,
Michael slaying Lucifer. St. Michael. Yeah, okay. A painting, a statue, an idea, iconography for the religious ages, a name given, constant comparisons. You are my angel. You will protect me. You are always near me. The perfect violence for this loving figure could not forgive his own brother, but holds him, pinned beneath his foot as he reaches his sword to pierce his heart. Does this bring comfort, knowing your adversary can be slain by your guardian angel? Is this betrayal in my heart? Do I disown my own spirit, renounce my birthright? A place of love would see an understanding. Two princes side by side in this cosmic comedy of life and death and confusion. We are left to figure it out as the princes sit high on their thrones and laugh.
Oh,
One more. This is called I Want to Teach You How to Kiss. I think I changed it to I Will Teach You. Anyways, okay, please do. Wait. Oh, wait.
All of it. One at a time.
How about I am teaching you?
yeah.
Nah, I like the first one better.
Editor, put the fuck in.
I like it. I like this instant feedback. So finally, after all this time, I return to you. You are the reason I stopped writing poetry to begin with. I could not bid the old year farewell. I could not christen the new year with verse or fake wisdom of this lecherous drunk like myself. I could not be real with you beyond my phony pretensions because it's hard for me to share myself. I stopped to think about it for a minute. I waited for the snow to come down in places it simply does not snow. I waited for the twin suns to trick us once again into believing old prophecies still have relevance. I waited until the ghosts of old heroes told me I owed the world a lot more than my silence. I waited until I saw your face again, demure and docile as it was, but I could see that inner fire burning. I could see the mischief hiding barely, wanting to smile. I heard your voice again. It did not sound the same as the voice I heard in my head when I read your poetry. It gave me a different perspective. It took you from a god to a prince to something much more tangible. And I liked your mortality, for it meant you were within my reach. And the distance could be cut short, too, by the internet, by 21st century communication. You are a bus ride away, though I am in some city that is not a city and some place that is not a place. You said my name 3 times, as if to wish me into existence, as if to pull me into your space. And I know I am not he whom you spoke of, but I could see your ambitions and intentions in a silent room of soul bearers. Heard you speak behind the opera, heard you sing behind the old poet's soft and kind and tender, tricking none behind that neatly styled 5 o'clock shower.
Oh, yeah! That's
Thank you. No. Thank you, Bob. Okay, next up, would you please give a round of applause for Bob Mudd?
Very short one. Trevor's on a plane.
Yes, he is.
Again.
Where will he fly and why?
Of lilies and fields, the wisdom of the ancients, expressed in all religions by aboriginals and philosophers, is woven by a common thread. But I beg pardon in altering the word of Jesus slightly to suffer the children to come to life, free as the lilies of the field and the birds in the sky, because we live in a civilized world that has become megalomaniacal in its insatiable consumption of finite resources. There's no time to waste breath on whether humans are the cause of climate change. Megalithic corporate consumption remains unsustainable. The blueprint on the face of the future of every born child is warfare in the name of religious patriotism. What matters most is, as children come to life, is that the children of Africa come to life without guns in their hands, that the children of the Middle East come to life without suicide on their minds, that the children of Asia come to life without slavery for survival, that the children of the West come to life with compassion deeper than patriotism, that we all continue with life without the need of the pressure of the falsity of being mortgaged to the proof that my home is better than yours, because we are all lilies of the field, of the material plane of planet Earth, and birds are beginning to fall from the sky. I just about poetry out. I'm digging back. The new ones have been overdone. I'm trying to find one that I haven't done. You might have to wait for quite a while. I think I'll try it next time around. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And Trevor. Okay. Next up, Scott V. Vanya. With his mighty guitar.
I think about a lot of stuff before I come to one of these, because it's been a long time since I've come to one of these. That's true. One thing to point out, this may be the last currently show of Headhunters, but I made a change last night to Open Mics Austin that while current venues are listed, all the old venues that I recorded are still in the archive.
Clever.
So Headhunters is listed, Freddy's Place is still there. All these old shows that we ever took, it's now becoming a historical document for the senior lesson, and it will survive. So we'll live on. Okay. Thank everything you did. Yay.
Throwing out more places than 7 o'clock.
Well, I'll do as my old English teacher used to tell me, Don Thames, who not only was an English teacher of mine for 8 classes, but he was a friend of mine. He died a few years back. He always said, start with what you know and work out from there. My son the other day, might have been yesterday, I don't remember, was explaining to me how frustrating it was that his mom didn't believe him. Which to me is stuff poetry, so. I think if we were able to sum up the life of a man or a woman, which, as we all well know, is not possible. It's scattered about like the leaves of a tree or the flowers in bloom. And all the poems we ever write and all the events we ever do are just little shavings off that oneness of ourselves. And it is a whole thing. It is a one. If we're so blessed to feel it sometimes, it's a single thing. One tree, not a forest. One flower that everybody does reach into in the roots of us, in the heart of us, in the fingers, in the song of us. But if we were to turn our eye away from the fact that we love ourselves, and we love the people who come before us, whether we have, quote, known them or not known them, if we think about what our son does when he comes to us and says, my mom didn't believe me, it made me wonder. It made me wonder, is at the back of our heart something that wants to be loved, or is it something that just wants to be believed? When a friend tells you, this is not the way I want it to be, might it not be said that what we want more than to be loved is to be believed? Think of yourself as a government, our religion. So many have said, you need to believe us. You need to trust that what we know about God and the higher spirit is true and follow along with it. But those of us who have minds of our own do not. So what do you do when your son comes to you and says something like, no, Daddy, I haven't had a Reese's yet. You sit down an hour later and say, son, Ian, the path of an honest man, and I just use that metaphorically speaking, the path of an honest man is one that must be open and honest 100% of the time. Because yes, in the core of myself, I do want to be believed. Loves come and go. I've had more than my fair share, and I know someday I'll have quite a few more. But in the meantime, I just want to be able to say, I love you, every last single flipping one of you, and have you believe it. I want to live my life so open and true that when I say, God damn, I can't stand racism and bigotry, you believe it. I want you to look past the part of me that's trying to do all these things and know that somewhere inside of me is coming out a thing like a poem, and it means well. Though it may not be so well written or so well done, it's just an attempt, just like you. Just like all those people passing out on this street or another street or somewhere not too far from here. Because in the middle of it all, there's just one thing. We felt it at times when we were in the arms of another, where we held our son's eyes for a moment. I just want you to know when I say I love you, I mean it. Maybe time somebody else takes stage soon. I think I've done my fair share of this.
Thank you, Scott Vanya. Very nice. Very, very nice. I can't get this thing. Okay. All right. Next up, we have to the stage Ryan. Round of applause.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you very much. So this isn't my night. It's everybody's night, and I just want to keep it real brief. First of all, I want to give a shout out to for a plug for a project that I'm involved with. We're like an anarchist poetry collective who we had talked about doing some projects for a few months, and everybody kind of flaked out, and then suddenly, oh, we're taking submissions and it's happening, and I'm like, well, oh my God, man, why didn't you guys tell me? So I immediately submitted 3 poems, and suddenly I'm editing the thing, and you know, and I'm, you know, soliciting artwork and you know, and looking for a printer. I haven't checked that email yet. You know, and it's moving along very quickly. I hope to have it on the street within a month. And this is what we know is that the release party is going to be at Monkey Wrench.
Oh yeah.
So I'll put the word out. Meantime, this is from my current collection called One Subject, 70 Pages, called A Duel. It's taking a beating. I met my love down by the river, around these parts. A lake it's called. Where does it go? The water we can't see, blasting on the pavement. It's another cold night that we won't sleep like shadows in the park, purring ghosts in the trees. You and I talking for hours, grasping at fiery spider webs flung out between us in joyous creation, sparkling amazement. The table we set upon a stage of idols swept by winter's wind, embracing one another, afraid to part again when I walk into darkness and you take the road, weary and electric, directionless in the cold, till we rediscovered home for a few nights of gratitude and hospitality. Waking our host with our frenzied primal rhythm, communion. We walked that broken road together for a season, and then we discovered that the shooting stars were the shrapnel flotsam afterbirth of creation. Steaming stones or diamonds in our bones, our world. It's dark in here. Our world led to ruin where one another has grown. That's totally wrong. The swords and the mallets, harsh words, angry and broken glares, broken heart. Much better. Broken heart, broken leaves, broken promises, broken words, broken path. The bird has flown, and I'm still holding the perch aloft in the hopes that your reimagined soul will create another story with me.
Yeah.
Time for one more? A quickie? I've had this one around for a while too. The old man sits on a sunny green bench, warm wind stirring his hoary head and whispering spiders nesting in his ears. Freckle bronze pinpoints and elephantine crevices like war wounds that cut through the armor. Tell stories of sunburns and smoke and starvation, and the elements of worry that blanketed him on chill winter nights and sweat-drenched summer afternoons. He could tell you for himself, if he remembered the magic spells others are born knowing. but his thinning audience are thrifty with the coins of camaraderie and time, more precious than a beaten soul commands. The praise as fleeting as their faces. He remembers these, burned into his soul like lightning tattoos, and the ghost of hands, a cold iron mesh that weighs him down with memories that have crashed upon the mountain's jagged back. That's the graveyard he would dance in, if only he didn't want to spit upon the resting places of those who kept him alive. Through the alchemy of their betrayals, the unkind souls left him at the corner to grasp at the withering flotsam, half-eaten, grimy with spilled sugar, crushed and wet, sour as a bonfire on his tongue, the rotten egg vapors wafting from his greasy pores. His vision has failed him. The quick-cut fairy tales of beautiful excess mock him from the watering hole where he is not allowed.
Wow. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Come back again. Anyways, as Scott pointed out, tonight may possibly be our final reading, but we'll find out for sure. So stay tuned for more details.
And you'll still be on stage somewhere.
We'll be doing something somewhere, all of us will. If not, follow that man. Tom knows where it's at. Yeah, we are going to follow you. Anyways. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, we got 2 more readers, and then we're going to go and get to our features for tonight. So, without further ado, let's have a round of applause for Miss Susan Summers.
All right, Stephanie, I was hoping you'd be here tonight. I can read you your poem.
Yay!
We went to an outdoor art festival that was a lot of fun, and she inspired me with the way she used color in a poem. So this is for Stephanie. She writes in bloody red on rumpled white sheets. She glows like a scarlet sun in a white-hot sky. There is only this life and the great expanse beyond, sustainability or surrender, awareness or zombie sleepwalk. The pulse of love spattered on a blank canvas, blood on a page. She writes for passion, both love and rage.
And nice to look in the mirror.
It was.
Every cat is a poem. The words are whispered in the twitch of their elegant tails, sung to the rhythmic purr of contentment, a crescendo of passion expressed in hisses and yowls, moving silent as the fog, meditating like monks, watchers of time, survivors, friend of the sunbeam, companion of night, aloof and indifferent to all expectations, living proof of poetry.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Susan. Glad to have you back on our stage. Excellent. All right, next up we have Pete Siebert. Round of applause.
Spent the weekend traveling. I found out more about David Young. Got to travel with him. Got to see beyond Ben. Thank you. Pete, president of Kitchen Table University, Pete the poet. I debriefed Jacob Brown, the president of History and Hysteria. He had a good weekend, he said, there at Forest Fest. Tonight, I'd like to give an art lecture. It's called Mud Art Returns.
What's that about?
There is among us one who like us came from down under. From the earth he plays, calls us with his humble walk, occasional bent shoulders. From the knowing his brothers and sisters in the Americas respect and honor him with eyes and words and ears. But our daily activities still consume the earth from which he and we came. Our mother, he places particles of her in the hands of the children. And you know what? They get it.
Yeah.
Play in it. Make designs. Reveal themselves to each other. Feel the Mother Earth, inviting them to absorb her health-giving energy. via the minerals, the colors, and the shapes, as much as matter as spirit. His voice, the tools of his trade, are mud, art, words, sounds whirling from deep within our mother. Her vacuums echo out a swirling sound, a dance playing mystery music, permeating our culture. This man comes annually, hoping we finally get it, the full picture, not merely saluting him and it. We'll pause with cause. Not merely saluting him, but getting it, while changing not our consumption, our presumptions we know or we really heard him, then turn our attention away. Who's up next? Who's on first? What? That's over. No. He shouts quietly. It's free. It's simple. It's child's play. It's elementary, my dear Watsons. Oh, may I hear and see more of you, my earth brother. I commit to calling children to their mothers and fathers to mud art, so they may know what and who you are. I will tell them, once upon a time, many millenniums ago, mud art crawled up on a bank out of the green black slime, took a sip of air and turned back, slid back, awed and frightened by the wonder of oxygen, airborne. Each day that little mystery brother crawled farther up the bank, breathed more airborne oxygen, went back at night to tell the others, still hiding in the green black slime sludge. Mystery brothers told them, come with me, there is oxygen in the air. Yes, there, breathe. In that slime no more. Breathe air. Oh no, said one, it's not practical, I might die. Get back down here in this safe, dark place. Come on, he said. I've already risked one eye. Isn't that enough progress? Oh, another spoke out, you're crazy, weird boob. We cannot live like that, but you go ahead. We welcome your returns. Oh, keep hope alive in us. Yes, they do when you come back. They will drain this American swamp, and then the water will be pure again as it was in Eden's age millennia ago. So come again, said I, until we both eyes, both ears, honor and obey the call. Rise up and follow a kookaburra who plays among us, ever gentle, few words than I, yet so much closer to Mother Earth and Father Sky. Gracias, Thom, world poet. Now we know of which world you come. Keep bringing him back. Keep open micing. Call us until we crawl all the way to the top, out of this green black sludge, and learn to breathe free air and stand on our own.
Thank you, Pete Siebert.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. All right. That brings us to the hour of the features.
Features!
Features!
Wow! Are we lucky or what?
Yes, we very much so are. Alrighty, so I've been wanting this man's feature here for quite some time, since I first saw him years ago at the Austin International Poetry Festival. It struck me as funny. I thought I'd seen him on a $100 bill before, but I don't see those too often, so I wasn't sure. Anyway. But either way, okay, so he comes to us. He's an Austin poet currently, from abroad.
Abroad. Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, I don't know the exact.
Don't talk about his mother like that.
Oh, I get it. It took me a second, sorry. But he's also known as Doppelganger Ben.
Oh, yeah.
We're very pleased to have him. Let us have a round of applause for David Lestrine.
Can we be a stage upon life where other people reflect upon us, that we look up as poets to see the youth, to see the inspiration, to see somebody flower when we're down here and they become poets. We must become a stage to blossom a future. For this is part of our identity, is to be down and elevate others to that potential that's in their hearts. And that's one thing that I like to do. I have a lot of doubts. I have my frustrations. I ride my roller coaster. But a lot of times I look from that stage and I want to take somebody and I want to put them on a pedestal. I want to have their mind glow from who they are and express their identity, their universe, that magic, that Thom spirit, that mud spirit. And I thank you for coming to Austin every year. You inspire a lot of people, and you are part of the enjoyment of the Austin Art Festival. And I thank you for that.
Woo!
And
Yeah!
there is so many people in this room right here to say thanks to, and everybody in this room right now is Austin chemistry. The chemistry that makes Austin magic. I bow to you. You are the reason why I write. I lay my words naked, stripped down before you, where you can then bear them witness, revealing the very soul of my core composition, that within my poetic depth exists deep heart expressions, where one dwells in verse that shares poetry's universe. Yeah. Oh, poets and poetess, dwell in my heart the verse that sings a light heartbeats, dancing adrift soft sensual words that alliterate a live love lyric, sailing among romantic terse tenses in those touches of a vibrating quill, feathering language into friction fruition, within static motion of aroused germination, blossoming pure in ecstatic emotion elocution. Oh, lift the heart with your spirit that says it will build the dream, that reality will come to the poet. So upon the wings I show appreciation to everyone out there in the audience that shares my dream in making poetry become whole. Thank you for being my poetic family.
Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah!
Love you, David!
Keep on coming, brother. Way to go.
You gotta excuse me, but I'm tired. I've been there, my eyesight is fading in and out. The transformation of a puddle. Let me create the magic inside you of images that float within the blessed mind. Let me make the transformation of my poetic pictures into your soul to fly the skies in static charges. In storming in you, the power of words done so right. Let those words bounce around me, within you, Oh, breeze of your own thoughts to create the lightning, to envision so much more. Let's create the puddles in reflections from your own image. I looked into a puddle and my reflection went back at me. So serious a face first appeared. As the wind blew a smile across it, sunshine, somehow the years did show up. How things seemed to disappear. Was this a fountain of youth? So I watched you become frozen in thought, and the wind blew across the remains and waited for spring to revive the image of you looking into another image.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Tom, you got a
What?
glasses.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Ben is moving his glasses. Oh, so much better.
Hey.
I can actually see.
Thank goodness.
Okay, sonnet. To be honey sweet poetry. I rise at your Thursday's 12th springtime. Take flight on delicate delight, verse flows, rippling heartbeats, sunshine, pulsations rhyme, prancing among swaying soft wildflowers. My meant such sensual sensation colors, aloft fresh flare, fragrance, love harmony, brushstroke fingers, a light watercolors, chill warm thrills, caress test harmonics. We're in a persona aura, spread wings, that levitates calm cerebral currents among celestial balm sailing winds. Peace forever, forevermore sonnet, resonant, reflective, covered bonnet, silk sheets spun honey to be poetry. Okay, one of the things I'm working and trying to perfect is a cappella poetry. And a cappella poetry, I have no idea what tune I'm singing in, but I just keep doing it and hoping to perfect it. This one's called Angel Guide My Way Home. Oh, angel, guide my way home, elevate my spirit, so I can drift upon high, so I can look down to overlook loved ones, sending me off to heaven. Sweet angel, let me sing hallelujah in amazing grace. Let me sing together that musical harmony, bringing me back home. Oh, angel, guide my way home into God's highland that overlooks earth's glory, where I harvested love, and now it's time to go. Sweet angel, let me sing hallelujah in amazing grace. Let us sing together that musical harmony, bringing me back home. Let us bow our heads in amazing grace, with the bagpipes drifting off to hear this prayer. Lord, please bless those I leave behind, that those tears of sadness will turn to tears of joy, for this angel is going home. So upon heaven's drum cadence, bagpipes escort me into God's highlands. Thank you.
Yeah. on, brother, sing on.
Another round of applause for David Vasilina. Thank you, David. It was very nice to have you fleshed out.
Oh wait, that's me.
I got too much. It's going on. Okay.
If I wanted to buy a round of drinks for all the poets, whatever you want, you got yours.
I got mine.
Buy what you want. What, you want a beer? Do you want an alcoholic beverage?
Anyone who's thirsty, please see Susan. That is awesome. Thank you, Susan. A round of applause for Susan. Thank you. Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, David. We really appreciate that.
Sorry about my eyesight.
No, not at all. Never apologized. Too many more, as a matter of fact. All right. Okay, so it's time for our second feature for this evening. Second featured poet to grace the stage tonight with all the other talent that's already been up here with us. Stephanie J. Morrissey has had a history of unfortunate closings at this venue on featured evenings. And tonight we got her live. I'm sure it was totally coincidental. Okay, yes. No, I meant that sincerely. No, but okay. So Stephanie Morrissey, provocateur of Austin.
Yeah.
Let's just have a round of applause as she joins us on stage.
Somebody punch this mic, Jesus. Yeah. Oh my gosh, okay, so obviously I spent, what's up everybody, by the way? I spent the whole weekend, pretty much, at Eeyore's birthday, celebrating and otherwise, screaming, yelling, running around. I did an after party and ended up with lots of black light reflective bubble soap all over me from running around and blowing UV reflective bubbles all over everyone. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. You have no idea.
Bubbles!
No, you guys don't. You guys have no idea. Susan knows. Susan's been. I see it. She's had that fun. Anyway, so losing my voice. I apologize. Susan's right. By the way, I do write about a lot about love. It's not a lie. I have a lot of poetry in general, though. Actually, so I mean, I just don't read it all. So that's what I'm going to do tonight is a little stint of my love poetry. I'm going to kind of start off with some lighter things, some darker things, and then something that I wrote for someone just the other day. This poem I wrote when I was like 17. This is one of my first poems I ever wrote. Here we go. Dear you, whomever you are, someday I'd like to meet you. I'd like to spend the day with you, get to know you. Everything there is to know about you. Talk of things unspoken, the forbidden forms of conversation. Reveal myself to you. I want to see in your heart. I want to see in your mind. See the forgotten memories, lost loves, and blackest thoughts. Eat away at the inside of your head like a worm eats at the inside of an apple. Leave no stone unturned. But the question is, will I ever get to meet you? Will I ever get to sit and talk with you? Even if it's for one day. Will I? Will I ever get to see your face, touch your hand, explore your mind, explore your world, and enter your mind as that person? Thank you.
Hear you more.
And here we go. This one is what it's about, to build a relationship. Sitting as usual, waiting, watching as usual, wondering what is next. What can we do now? You can put the bricks and the cement in the wall, but that doesn't guarantee that the building will stay intact. There is no certain answer. You can use a sturdy frame and foundation and still eventually it will all come down. So then you move on, replacing, reassuring, reevaluating, rethinking, redoing, and removing. Yet it seems an endless battle between drowning and barely keeping your head above water. And still we paddle on in shallow and deep waters. We voyage on in the darkness, blindfolded, holding hands, calmed and completely by the other's presence. A mere smell and touch of our skin. Thank you. Not all of them have stories. Someone was going to go right into it. My head is in tangles. Up is down and down is left. An attempt to correct the view, I've changed the lens. But it seems as though this lens is a bit spotted. I tried to adjust the settings, but the new ones won't save. Like a broken record, it skips over and over, right back to where it started. It appears that the viewpoint has been smashed beyond recognition, broken to bits, torn to a minuscule amount of heartstrings, scattered around the room of once whole being. No bandage will heal it, and no heart can replace it. I look about myself and see how the itty-bitty pieces of me are slowly being thrown upon the ground. I tried to grab pieces of me as they plummet to the floor, but my hands have already walked away and took bits of my heart with them. Clutched in between tightly grasped fingers, desperate to run far away. Hopefully they don't return for more. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a couple books, but I don't have a whole lot in each book, so I'm gonna keep. I'm not looking at you. Maybe I should look at you and tell me when to stop. Because I have one that I wanted to read specifically, so I wanted to pause. This one. This one is very self-explanatory. I have been in love like a couple times, you know what I'm saying? And that's what this one's about. Is it a plight for some poets to have a heart wide enough and a passion that burns hot enough they cannot just love but one person? Romantic poems are dead, it seems, but it's been the main focus of my writing since I was young. As I rewind my fingers to the journal pages of time, I swear I love them all. I swear each one I have burned red ink as I write of the love I have felt with them. Even if it was just for one brief moment in history that I spoke of a now forgotten passion. You may prefer the words of those who speak politics or relations not of the heart, but that matters not to me. I speak from my heart, a precious organ modern time poets sometimes leave neglected, left alone in the recesses of time. Thank you. Okay. I can still taste you on my lips. Your sweet, poisonous nectar, dooming me to think of you, long for you in your absence, wondering if you will come back. Because every time I try to hold you dear in my arms, close to my heart, you run away, disappear, leaving behind your sweet scent that lingers on my flesh. Then as quick as you vanish, you return. I welcome you into my heart, I welcome you into my body, into my mind, and allow my soul to dance with your soul in a sweet embrace. Lost in time and space, it all falls away, and what's left behind is you and I. Until you leave again, disappearing into the night, making me fear that this will be the last time our souls embrace. I never saw him again. I have known him for a very long time, though. He's got a really nice girlfriend now. Hey. Oh God, I've known this guy since he was like 12 years old. I'm not too bothered by it. I mean, if she's a bitch, I'd be like, man, fuck that cunt. But she's a nice girl, so I can do it. You tore me to shreds. This is not about him. Different person. You tore me to shreds. Ripped the inside right after me. Crushed the very intention of my heart. One by one, you sometimes carefully removed, sometimes sliced, but mostly mutilated every bit of stuffing I had, devouring it in your own bloody delight, smiling through razor-sharp teeth, bits of organ dripping down your chin, death standing right over your shoulder, gritting ever so carefully, cautiously waiting for the right moment for his turn to feast on my empty sack of skin, until along came a spider, sat down beside her, and frightened Miss Muff. Thank you. Yeah. See what I got in here. All these books. This is a picture by Xavier. He was like 2. Sorry. So let's see what here. This poem right here was published in an Expressions anthology, Gathering of the Tribes, in 2012. And I had 2 poems published in there. This was one of them. This I wrote years ago. a restless heart like a fickle butterfly that alights on many flowers, gathering nectar from each one. My mind wanders endlessly, constantly longing for something, or maybe someone who isn't here. I don't feel like I've touched or even seen this person before, but I know they are here somewhere. If only my night vision goggles weren't so cloudy, I might see you. It's like I keep catching glimpses of you, like pieces of your soul were lost in other people. It's like the last time we saw each other, you were scattered to a million pieces like stars in the sky. And maybe I will never see the whole you again. I constantly search for you, the whole you, not just these pieces. Maybe you're hiding behind some mask, behind some wall, behind someone else, I don't know. But what I do know is I am an empty void without you, a hungry soul waiting to be filled. As I get older, the longer I wait, the more I write about you, the more impatient I become. I'm beginning to believe you are just not there. Did I brush up against you somewhere, but just not see you? Not look deep enough into your heart, just passed you by like a fleeting train. Thank you. I have two more, and one of them I picked out for Susan because it's a poem that she's talking about. She wrote for me that I actually forgot to read earlier. And the other one is my last one. I hope everybody enjoyed their Eeyores this weekend, by the way.
We're having a
For me, it
do-over
was a
next
whole
week.
damn weekend full of Eeyores. What's that? Oh, you had to work. Poor tax.
Do-over next week.
I know, right? We're going to have a second Eeyores. All right. Here it is, Susan. This song I read last week. I really like the band, the XX. And they have this one song called Intro. It's completely instrumental. The original song is like 5 minutes and 35 seconds, I think. But the radio edit is 2 minutes and 36 seconds, and I had heard the song enough. And so I wrote this poem to that song. Do I want perfection as it appears? Or is it just that glass pane on the surface? The reflection I could hope you could see. The face flashing forward into the future of a red-stained pane. No longer just clear glass. Can I help but want to see the wounds gush forth pure red blood onto the white sheets we have so carefully laid out to rest our lovely bashed heads upon? While we allow our eyes to adjust to the new scene of a crystal clear image reflecting upon that once clean surface. Once pure and whole. Once completely united in a chorus of harmonic beats. One oxygenated beam, one passion flowing forward fancifully with love. The essence of clear glass. I wonder how long before we start to ruin that surface, tarnish that one single goal in mind. I hope that the entity of our soul remain within the common purpose. If not, I fear the white sheets will go from pink to deep maroon quickly, and the slit tongues and throats of two scorned lovers will slowly envelop the whole mind of those once believing in happy endings. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has a picture that is not done, so you can't see it. It's not done. I have cycles I've noticed with my relationships. I'm sure everyone does. However, I love just falling in love with guys that aren't going to stick around, but move. It's my favorite. Oh, you're not staying. I love you.
Whoa.
See you later. Yeah, it's like, oh, the passion for the 2 weeks and then they're gone. So good at that. I don't know why. Maybe we're trying to get in as much love as possible. I'm not sure. I don't know. Oh, that too. Thank you so much. Susan, you understand me so well. So I wrote this about somebody who I recently started seeing and he's leaving. So here we go. And in the silence of a moment, I realized that some part of me loved you already. That as you go from me, as you plan a large piece of my heart will leave with you in a fit of tears. And a silence soon to deafen my once happy home. Thank you. All right, well, I'm glad I got to feature and not have to stand at the front door and read poetry in the freezing cold. That was fun. Man, what happened to that picture of me trying to pull the door open with my foot? I had like my heel. I was in a nice dress. I wore a dress. I took a shower, I put on makeup, fucking I wore heels, and it was cold, and I'm like, I'm just going to head under the sun, I'm not going to worry about my little dress, and it's cold, I'm running, you know, my heels, I'm late, oh my god. I get here, and everybody's fucking sitting outside, looking around, what's going on? Man, I wish we had that picture of me trying to open up the door with my foot. That was really funny. It was hilarious. I got like one big old heel. Thanks, Steve, for not closing on me this time. I love you, man. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Stephanie Morrissey, ladies and gentlemen. I can now say ladies, plural.
Yay, there's
Good
more
mix
than
now.
me.
All right, that was awesome. That was pretty spectacular. Let's have another round of applause for both our features tonight. David, Mr. Thank you very much for sharing your talents with us on this very humble stage. All right, we're gonna do one more quick round of open mic poetry. May as well close it out with a bang, right? Just in case, you never know. All right, cool. So if you don't have anything to share, don't feel any pressure. We're just going to drag you up on stage anyways. All right, so without further ado then, let us welcome back Headhunter Thom and his entourage.
Entourage! Woo! And groupies!
And it's been... Woo! Flashback. On the road, Jack Kerouac and Kesey, the sign on the bus says further. So we hit the highway wanting to go to West Texas. But of course we have to stop for gas and the release of fluids. But I have a love affair with Lana. By the Lana River, there's a museum that's rarely open. I tell my friends about this museum because it has the artifacts of the early settlers here. No one believes me because the museum keeps really eccentric hours. But just by chance, the dance of hours allows us to enter at 11 a.m. on Thursday morning with a lone volunteer, proud and smiling. And we walk around all the guns of the pioneers and the arrows of the indigenous. Covered wagon at the back, typewriters, genuine typewriters, Edison phonographs. But my friend Bob goes in the next room and he starts having revelations because in the next room there's the rocks and crystals of the actual land itself from which mud gathers around. And he reads the writing on the wall because we were told that the Apaches and Comanches were the soul people, but that ain't true. If you go back a million years or more, there was settlement on the Lana River, long before the Apaches and Comanches came through as raiders, wiping out as invaders the true indigenous. Little arrowheads found by the Lana River there have shales of history and stories never to be told again, in indigenous languages, but they know that settlement on that river began a million years ago. I can't count so many. But Bob says, this is what I need to know, because we're taught mythology as history. That we are invaders, and we took the land from the indigenous, but they took the land from the indigenous, and before that they took the land from the indigenous, and the land is patient with invaders. The Lana River still flows, and the museum knows that when you come to a piece of truth, with respect and reverence, you take time off from on the road, and you look at what really glows. The earth, the river, the stones.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I sent you my picture. I tried to print it out.
Thank you, Thom and entourage. Is Gentle still with us?
No.
No.
Gentle's not.
Gentle's gone.
That's Gentle. Okay. That means I'm next. Boo. Mr. Mudd, Can I have the honor of your accompaniment for me on this?
Oh, lucky man. It is nice.
I want to get on stage again, Michael.
You never come off.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, that ain't right. That ain't so.
Bob Mudd is
No, I'm
joining us
always
from
on
down
stage,
south.
right.
He comes up here perennially every April. This is called Upon Dying, and it's an older one that's probably one of my favorites. A sun-melting day syruped golden rings, amber glistening in the green sea sky above. Past the gates in the heavens bay, where sun ringlets ripple like songs on the shimmer sea surface, the voyage to solace softscapes and dreams sway in my mind. Tranquil, quilt white dreaming in the existence of space and vast transcendent waves resonate like swans trickle tears through the tapestry of water and space. Stars and bubbles stir the cosmic mirror of their reflection as the currents persuade their dual moving steps past the thresholds they make. Soft sun glimmers on the ocean mirror surface like a glassy sheen, like a crystal's gleam. Stare through the gates, you and I, to the lot described by the season's sigh. Sunlight dazzles with euphoric images of hollow medallion ringlets and cast glass stones like diamonds rain from the sunbeds above. The fumes of golden yellow and glinting orange illuminate and pulse like a mirage of embers. Warm light showers curtains of life that bathe our frozen stone bodies. You and I, found in the land of home sweet summers, outlive the intoxicating bloom. Happily, sail away on the green mirror sea. Thank you, Bob. Ooh,
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Cool beans. Well, with that said, next up is the Bob Mudd.
Yay!
Did I catch him off guard there?
Yay! Don't step off the stage.
We're just going to keep you on stage this last round, Bob.
I think that's fitting.
Celebrate poetry. And poetry is free. Poetry is the unbridled joy of swimming free in the universal dream time of consciousness, just as is the agony of facing the multi-headed monsters of corporate reality in the 21st century. Macho, megabuck, material, all corrosive, super-information, overloaded, hyper-inflated, micro-industrialized, explosive lifetime. Poetry is a cool drink from an eternal oasis in the desert of the mind. It's a wellspring beyond age and achievement, always there. The door can be locked, unlocked, with a pen, even if the TV is not disconnected. Poetry is a whisper of love without menace in the attic of a 70-year-old widow alone. It's the flush in the face of a 7-year-old child dancing barefoot by the sea for the first time in the salt air on a balmy night, embracing dreams of a life to come. Poetry is the cement faces of the imprisoned peak hour passages of a society with no soul. Poetry is something invisible to the eye of the intellect. It's the bird that shuffles into a clump of grass for a time against the odds to heal its broken wing. It's the joy sparkling in the eyes of a disabled, misshapen young woman shuffling along on a sunny day, smiling the song of an invisible tune. Poetry is everywhere. It's not possible to write it all, and too often it is only other poets who listen. Sometimes poetry stinks like a tramp led into a warm foyer on a cold winter night. Poetry is free.
Yeah! Oh, yeah!
Thank you, Bob. We
Yeah.
appreciate that. Very much so. Scott. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah.
Scott Vanya.
Running on time. I always feel it's sort of like trying to write a haiku. You got to fit it in a certain amount of available space. This may actually be just instrumental, but you never know. So much for instrumental. Let us not say bon voyage. Ever. Let us say welcome in. Bird, song, stone, rock, river, hatred, love, fellowship, man, woman. Let us say welcome in. We've got room for you. Maybe just a cot out back or a couch with a pillow on it. Or it may not even be a house at all. Maybe it's just a sound that nobody's ever heard before. Maybe it's a friend, but let us say welcome in. Come inside me, and I don't care how sexual you want to be about it. Come inside me and live free for a while. I am nothing if I'm not open. I don't want a single bar or coffee shop to ever close in this town. I don't want a heart to ever stop beating. Make the street your open mic. Make your office space and the faces you see happy by smiling at them. Let us say welcome in and begin each moment like it's a song that never ends. I'm glad that Bob's my friend. I see him but once a year, but I don't know how many times I've looked at a stone or a rock or a bird and felt the love. There is no Scott. There is no Bob. There is just some sound that wants to come out, and it's got lips and faces and eyes that want to kiss and hold and love and touch the ground. And I only have so much time. So I'm going to say welcome in. Welcome in. Come on in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're not. Oh, this one. Okay, yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you. All right. Brian, do you have anything to share with us? All right. I think that sounds good. All right. We shall begin at the beginning, and when we get to the end, we shall stop. Let's give a round of applause for Brian.
Stop.
So I don't know why the last day or so I've been thinking about my ex-girlfriend. This was written kind of about her. I don't really write poems about former loves.
You just did.
So, just real quickly, because I still try to purge her from my brain, I think about her and I get anxious. I'll pull up my shopping list, you know, knives, Valium.
Suicide blanket.
Suicide blanket.
It's called plastic.
Oh.
Plastic tarp.
A little too graphic.
Sorry guys, sorry Alex, sorry.
That's alright.
We love Stephanie.
We embrace it.
You're written into my skin. You bled through from afar. Your smoke braided into my hair. You're killing the ends. You're copper on my tongue. Cheap dirty eats from a trash bin. You're the memory of an open wound smoldering in my cheek, palm-sized. You're the sick aftertaste of hot blue invective, howling and sparkling, a ball lightning in the hallway outside your bedroom. You're a tattered blanket, thinning, stained and crinkling, a favorite old book I can bear to read. You're everything I desperately tried to avoid. Every fate I tried to escape, every bar of every prison cell I inhabit, and all I want to do is bury my fingers in your curls and hold you closer and whisper your name in your native language until you shimmer into nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
One more quick one. You'll appreciate the title of this one. It's called Economy. And the damn thing is, I should have had it marked better than this. I really should organize this stuff much better. So, man, I do appreciate your patience and your attention and your friendship and your talent and all that good stuff. Economy.
Who are you?
What can I give away?
Yeah.
Who deserves the time? How can a man forgive the unforgotten crime, this ache to leave behind something that is mine, but what have I truly done? What can I give away? The end is drawing nigh. Build up a monument, a tree against the sky. The greatest treasure is nothing you can buy, so why would you gild the sun? What can I give away? A concept we can parse, cuts deeper than the truth. What matter healing scars when ashes go to dust and back into the stars? We are all of us a shining sun.
Shining sun, shining souls. I love it. All right. Next up, we have Susan.
Okay, this was written for a city that I lived in near San Francisco for about 10 months. And it was a fun place, and so this was like my farewell appointment. But I'll share it with you tonight, since this could be a farewell. We don't know. Maybe, maybe not. This is called Walking Up B Street. Walking up B Street, you can get everything you need. Fresh produce at the farmer's market, Arnold's Barbecue, B Street Grill. And yes, you can probably get weed. Now, I don't smoke it, but I've smelled it wafting in the breeze. Yes, B Street is a place you can get what you need. There's movies, pizza, books, new or used, antiques, vintage alley styles, and more. And it's just fun to bounce in and out each store. Walking up B Street, you can literally get taken away. There's taxis, the Metro, Greyhound, and good old BART. It's fun to visit by the city by the bay, and some people talk about Hayward and put it down. But the only fault I've found is the fault that lies through the middle of the town. Deep in the earth, it ticks, getting ready to slide every 140 years or so, and it's coming due. And most of all, walking up B Street, you can find a good beer and good friends. And if you stop by the bistro, where the conversation never ends. And if that earth decides to slide and release the tension within, I know you'll be fine and bond together because you're family too, and we'll take care of one another. Yes, Hayward's may not be as pretty as Pleasanton or Walnut Creek, but save those towns for the yuppies and the geeks. Let Hayward be homey and quaint. Let it remain welcoming as All Saints. Unassuming and beautiful in its own way. It may seem dusty and used. It may seem like yesterday's news. But Hayward is special. And if you can't see it, then move along. You're not one of us.
Yeah. Tell 'em, Susan, tell 'em.
Our sentiments here exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Susan. A pleasure having you tonight.
It's great to be here.
I believe this might be our final reader for the evening. Let's have a round of applause for Pete Siebert. Quite some time. What glasses?
Community glasses.
Our community glasses.
Community site, we're all seeing the
Pete
same.
Siebert.
All right.
Go Pete, go.
Yes. Pete ponders and pontificates, as Pon says. I
Oh.
wrote a newspaper in the year 2000 called The Republicrat. I'm a little bit this, a little bit that. So this parody paper with a novel purpose is to teach children how to become better families and become even a greater country than we were 9 months ago. All right, so here we go. How do we continue to dream? That became a nightmare. How can we reimagine our future after we dig out from the rubble and bring to justice those who did it? One of our main tools for change is humor. How can you laugh at a time like this? Abraham Lincoln said it this way, I laugh to keep from crying. He was accused of being insensitive during the Civil War cabinet meetings. Too often he told jokes and stories and laughed louder than all the others. I write the following. 7 months ago, we will be an equal opportunity offender to encourage or a funny paper. All of us at times, we do it right. All three, you pick. We seek to hire and to re-examine issues that some people think they've already answered. They've been right, they've been left, they've been center. That's the way to develop a new consensus worldwide. Re-examine, laugh at ourselves, myself, with you. When we seem to quarrel with you, it's a lover's quarrel. Oh, hear that always. I may fuss, I may fume. I may holler, I may shout. But when we make up, when we find that one, that join, this we will be a new consensus worldwide. When we seem to quarrel, oh, we will give up the disagreements to make for a good makeup session the other day. Some of us have written, some of us have sung. We aim high to challenge ourselves to produce with you a parody paper. What an incredible time we live in. Our world is expanding and shrinking at the same time. We determine our neighbors, isn't that? Isn't everyone a neighbor? We have access to the best of everything, but there's not enough time to take it all in. It's about time, isn't it? Taking the time on a Monday night to gather. Taking the time to send our brother back down under. Wishing him safe return there, home, and again in those days.
Yeah, Bob.
Yes. Thank you for the man who lifted us tonight, wearing the blue and the red and the white. He said it, I try to say it, but he said it so succinctly. Thank you, David. Thank you. And Susan, she's there not only to lift us and to cheer us, but to give it to us right. And then the Salon Poet himself, as we wrap up the evening. Thank you, kind sir, for pouring out life, sweat, blood, and some tears as you find your way. For pouring the glass, keeping us up off of our ass. We thank you. For the new ones here meet tonight, Miss Stephanie, always. I'll never forget that night you came up and told the old man what it was like. Thank you. Each and every one of you, whether it be Scott, those sitting with hands on chins, soaking it all up. Pete's Palm Save. Most of all, our brother Thom, who calls us all together. Never fusses at us, maybe under his breath. But he's kind to us. He calls us together again and again. So until we meet again, as Mr. Roy Rogers say, happy trails to you until we meet again.
Yeah.
Thank so much, Pete. Thank you. And thank you all for coming out to the Austin Salon Poetic. I will keep you abreast on the information of what's going on. Otherwise, it's been a great run. And I don't even want to say goodbye because we don't even know if this is it yet.
Elo always used to say,
I just looked at the bar.
Melody's son Elo always used to say, you don't say goodbye, see you later.
We'll see you all later. And maybe next time. Till then, you guys be safe. Have a great time. Tonight, you don't got to go home. You know the whole spiel. But otherwise, the Austin Salon Poetic's been fun.
If we don't see you in the future, we'll see
And
you
it never hurts to say I love you.
We don't see you in the future, we will see you later.
in the pasture. In the pasture.
Pasture.
In the pasture. If we don't see you in the future, we'll see you in the pasture.
You guys have been great. I love you all. To all the features, Ben and David and Stephanie, thank you again.